welcome back to my channel. Today we are continuing on in my ranking my entire makeup collection series, and today we are ranking my bronzers. This is probably one of my favorite parts of my makeup collection, but then I'm like, oh, I also love foundation and primers and eyeshadow palettes. But I, for some reason, go through phases where I just like am blush obsessed. Or not blush obsessed, bronzer obsessed. And today we are ranking my bronzer collection. So I have all of them sitting out in front of me right now. I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15 that I'm going to be ranking today. My Kevyn Aucoin sculpting powder I decided not to include in this and just strictly do my bronzers. So we are going to be ranking from my least favorite all the way up to my favorite. So if you guys are interested in how I would rank my bronzer collection, then stay tuned. First, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing before you leave today. I do post a minimum of 4 days a week, so if that's something that interests you, then don't forget to hit the red subscribe button before moving on. And other than that, let's just get into this ranking. All right, you guys, I do have some single bronzers that I've like depotted in a Z palette, and I count those towards my makeup inventory, but I'm not ranking those today. I rarely ever reach for those, and I probably should declutter them. So we're just ranking my singles that have like that come in single packaging right now. I hope that makes sense. But starting with my least favorite bronzer in my collection, it is my Urban Decay Beached Bronzer. And I used to love this bronzer, but as I have expanded my bronzer collection, played around with bronzer a little bit more, I have realized that this pulls a little bit more orange than I would typically like to reach for. Now, I did pull this into a Shop My Stash a couple months ago to decide whether or not I wanted to keep this, and when I used it, I still liked it and I wanted to keep it in my collection. I actually feel like I'm really close to hitting pan on this because I can see, like, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but I can see the like rims on the pan. It'd be cool if I would be able to hit pan on this. This is in the shade Sunkissed, if I did not say. I believe there were 2 shades in this range. I don't even know if these still exist. But my least favorite bronzer in my collection would have to be this. My second least favorite, so coming in at number 14, is this one from Natasha Denona. This is the Bronze and Glow, and I also go through phases where I feel like I really like this, and then other times I'll use this and be like, not so much. And I think the reason for that, by the way, my self-tan right now is out of control. I'm trying to like exfoliate and do like a restart. I'm not gonna swatch anything on my hand because I just feel like my hand is like, I look like a lizard because some of my bronzer is like wearing away weirdly. You can see where I wear my Apple Watch, but this bronzer specifically is very red toned, and I really do appreciate that in the summertime when I am trying to look very sun-kissed, kind of look like maybe I have like a hint of a sunburn. I do like that look from time to time, but then there's other times like in the winter when I'll reach for this and I'll be like, ugh, like maybe I should wipe all my makeup off. I don't know, I just have to be very careful with this, and I feel like this has not necessarily like ruined a makeup look for me in the past, but it's just not been exactly what I was looking for. So for me, this is like a little bit of a finicky bronzer, and that's why I'm ranking it at number 14. Coming in at number 13 is this one from the Balm. This is the Balm Desert Bronzer slash Blush. This is what this looks like, and this is just very deep for me, so I can really only get away with this in the summertime. And even still, sometimes I feel like it just looks a little bit too dark for my skin. It again is pretty red toned, so I like a red toned bronzer from time to time. However, I don't like a red toned bronzer all of the time, so that's why I'm ranking this at number 13. I still think it is a beautiful bronzer, and I've like gone hot and cold with this, where there's times where I really love it, and then other times where I'm like, not so much. Just not something that I would want to reach for. Like if this was like one of the only bronzers left in my collection, I wouldn't be happy, so that's why I have to rank this at number 13. Coming in at number 12 is this one from Lawless. Now, I have been reaching for this a little bit as of recently to kind of dip my toes in it again. This is something that I purchased on a whim. It was last summer, Sephora VIB sale. I really love Lawless Beauty as a brand. I was going through one of those phases where I just wanted to try all of the bronzers. So I picked this up last minute, and it just isn't a favorite. Although I do feel like I've come to like it a little bit more than I did when I first got it. I just feel like this one pulls a little bit orange as well, at least on my skin tone in particular. There are two shade ranges, there are two shades in the range, and I have the lighter of the two shades. Mine doesn't have the name on the back, like it doesn't have the sticker on the back. This is a little bit on the like glowy side. It has a bit of a sheen to it, so it's not a completely matte bronzer, which I can really appreciate in the summertime, but unfortunately, just because it pulls a little warm for me is probably a better way to put it, I have to rank this at number 12. Number 11 and number 10 are both the same bronzer, just two different shades. So coming in at number 11, I have Sun Soaked Strip from MAC. This was from a collection last summer, I believe, and Sun Soaked Strip is a tongue twister, as well as the deeper of the two shades. Number 10 for me would be this one, which is in the shade Canyon Dreaming. Looks like this. And this one pulls, it looks really warm in the pan, but it pulls a little bit more cool toned. I really like this, but I do feel like both of these take a little bit of building. This one can be a little bit warm toned for me, and these also have just a hair of a sheen to them as well, so not a completely matte bronzer. It actually says on the back, which I did not notice before, it says next to nothing bronzing powder. It's all making sense now. So this is supposed to be a more subtle bronzer. That makes sense. Okay, then I actually think that the formula on these are really nice. I was going to say, they take a lot of building up. So these must be similar to like the what is it? It's coming up here. I have it. Hold on. Oh, the Sun Wash bronzer from NARS, where you have like, it's subtle, you build it up, etc. Okay, now I have a newfound appreciation for these and really want to play with them again. Anyway, Canyon Dreaming is the lighter of the two. You can't get either of these anymore. It pulls a little bit more cool toned, which I appreciate because I just prefer like a cooler toned bronzer personally, typically. I don't know what else to say about this. I'm like dumbfounded now that I didn't realize that these were more subtle. And then Sun Soaked Stripped, a little bit more warm toned. I actually can't wait to play with these in the summer now. I really love the packaging on these. Like, extra points for the packaging. This is something that, like, if I ever finish these bronzers, not sure I will, I would keep the packaging to like put other things in this, because I mean, pink marble, I mean, could you really get much better than that? I don't think so. Coming in at number 9 is this one from L'Oreal. It's really funny. Every time I'm thinking like, are there any bronzers in my collection that I could declutter, I always think about this one, and I don't know if it's just because it's like the least expensive and I'm like, ah, that wouldn't hurt that much to get rid of. So then I'll pull it out to use it to see like if I like it or want to keep it still, and I love it every time I pull it to use it. This is the True Match Lumi Bronze It Sunkissed Bronzer for face and body, which is why probably it's so big. I didn't realize you could use this on the body. Maybe I will, well, obviously you could use anything on the body, but maybe I will try and use this on my body this summer. This is in the shade 1, which is the lightest shade. This has a bit of a glow, a bit of a sheen to it as well, but I even like reaching for this one in the winter time. I think maybe because it is a little bit more cooler toned, it just works really well for my skin tone. And I know that this is ranking at number 9, but I still think that this is a good bronzer. I still like all of the bronzers in my collection, otherwise I would have decluttered them by now. You know, there's some that, like that Lawless one, I just go back. There's some of the lesser ranked ones I just like go hot and cold on, but basically from now on I like really enjoy all of these bronzers. So again, this one's really beautiful, drugstore. I think this still was more expensive, maybe at like $14.99, but you do get a huge pan. So this would be my number 9. Coming in at number 8 is the NARS bronzer that I was talking about. This is the Sun Washed bronzer in Laguna. So it's in the Laguna shade, but it's the Sun Washed formula, which again is a little bit more subtle or takes a little bit more building up. I love this bronzer, especially for the winter months for me when I am more fair. I love that it's more subtle and you can build it up, because I feel like sometimes I get pretty aggressive with my bronzer. Like, I love to be bronzed, but this kind of reels it in for me and keeps me in check, just because it does take some building up. I I don't know that this bronzer is going to be for everyone. I don't know that everyone is going to love how subtle this is. Like, this takes building if you want it to be like there, but if you like a more subtle bronzer, I think you would really enjoy this one. And again, I think Laguna is just a really, really beautiful shade. So this would be my number 8 from NARS. I can't remember if I said this in the introduction, but it is the never-ending saga of construction right now. So I'm sure you're hearing construction noises, and I'm sorry. Like, I will be editing my videos just getting like furious at the construction noises, but I'm pretty sure this is going to go on all summer long. They have torn up like 5 streets within my neighborhood, like completely torn up, and now they're like putting it back together. Coming in at number 7 is this one from Tarte. This is the Park Avenue Princess, and this is the waterproof bronzer. I currently have mine. I'm currently trying to use mine up in my project pan. I love this bronzer. I think this is a really nice one, and I told myself that I was going to put this in my 2020 project because I wanted to use it up, and it wasn't something I would repurchase. However, I'm not gonna lie, I have it on my loves list, and I was like gonna take it off, and then I was like, no, like maybe I will want this again someday. I just think it's a really, really beautiful, it has a really beautiful finish to the skin. It has like a hint of a sheen to it. Again, it's like a little bit glowy without being too much, and I just really enjoy the shade on my skin tone. Again, it is waterproof. I don't really care about waterproof bronzers, but I'd be curious to try the non-waterproof version as well. But I actually really do enjoy this one from Tarte. Coming in at number 6 is the Too Faced Chocolate Soleil Bronzer. This I just have in a mini. I think this is really nice as well. This one is a little bit dark for me when I am fair. But if I go in with like a really fluffy brush and I'm super light-handed, I just love the way that this looks as well. I actually have mine in the medium deep matte bronzer. I didn't realize I had the medium to deep. Maybe I would prefer the lighter one, but I'm definitely going to get a ton of use out of this summer. I just think that the formula on this is really nice. It smells really nice, and this is one that I would probably repurchase, maybe just in like the lighter when I finish this. Coming in at number 5, this is very new, like new to my collection as of this year. This is the Milani Sunkissed. This is the Milani Silky Matte Bronzer, and I have mine in the shade 2 Sunkissed. Normally I would go with the lightest bronzer shade, but I decided to get number 2 because I've been self-tanning a ton and wanted to have a bronzer that would help sort of maybe warm up or help some of my lighter foundation shades bronze up the skin. This is a really nice formula. I had resisted for so long. So many people speak so highly of this bronzer, and I resisted all last year, and then I finally caved in and purchased this, and I love this formula, you guys. It is, I see why they call it a silky matte bronzer. It is a really just soft, buttery formula. So easy to blend, feels so nice on the skin, and I think it's just such a beautiful bronzer. I highly recommend this one. I think it's like $10.99 at the drugstore, and I think it's really good. Coming in at number 4, I absolutely love this bronzer. My top 4, like, I love. But I'll give you my reasonings for why I'm ranking them where they are, obviously. So coming in at number 4, I have this one from Hourglass. This is the Luminous Bronze Light Bronzer, and this is such a beautiful bronzer, especially if you like a glowier finish to the skin. This definitely has a sheen to it, but I think it is so stunning. I will be reaching for this all summer long. I love Hourglass products, like their baked products in general. I just think they are so nice, and this just gives the most healthy, luminous bronze glow to the skin. I don't know why I'm swatching it because, again, the self-tan situation. But this is one that you can definitely build as well. I do like a buildable bronzer because, again, I can get a little aggressive sometimes. This is definitely one that you can build, and I just think it's so gorgeous because of the glow that it gives to the skin. But the reason I'm ranking this at number 4 is because I'm not looking for a glowy bronzer all the time or all year round. So the 3 that I'm ranking above this are all matte bronzers, but if you're looking for a great glowy bronzer, this is very expensive, but I do love this one from Hourglass. Coming in at number 3, this may have been my number 1 last year, number 1 or number 2. Still love this one. Would repurchase this when/if I finish this. It's from Fenty Beauty. It is the Sun Staka bronzer in the shade Into Sun, which I believe is the lightest of the 6 or 7 shades. This is what it looks like. This definitely pulls a little bit more cool tone, so it can help to contour the face a little bit, which I think is why I appreciate it so much. For me, this is one that I can build as well. It's a little bit more subtle, and it's definitely a more buildable bronzer, which I appreciate because, again, I get aggressive. This might be a little bit too light for me with a self tan, but when I am fair, I just love the way that this looks on my skin. It's not too warm. I know a lot of complaints about the Fenty bronzers have been that they're too warm, but I think that the lightest one definitely pulls a little bit more cool. I can't speak to any of the shades above the lightest, but this works so well for my fair skin, and I really truly love this one from Fenty. Coming in at number 2 is an OG. It's a classic. I do love this one. This is from Marc Jacobs. It's the Tantastic bronzer. Such a beautiful bronzer, such a beautiful neutral bronzer shade. Not too cool, not too warm. I feel like this is another buildable one. I love the packaging. I love the big mirror. I don't know what else I can say about this. This is so highly spoken about, and I feel like so many people talk about this. I've talked about this so much on the past, so I'm not going to drone on, but just a great bronzer from Marc Jacobs. So happy to have this in my collection. I always like to tell the story about the day that this relaunched, because I wanted this when, you know, this first launched and everyone was talking about it, and I remember I saw this in store and I was like, huh, I like the white packaging, maybe I should buy that. No, $49. And then, like, I swear a day after that, I just kept hearing about the Marc Jacobs Fantastic, and I went back to buy it. Couldn't get it. When it re-released, I was laying on the couch feeling so sick. It was during a Sephora VIB sale, and this wasn't supposed to release yet. And then it, like, released early for VIB Rouges. I was, like, feeling like I was dying, scrolling through Trendmood, and I saw that this had launched for VIB Rouge, and I have never ordered something so quickly as I have this Marc Jacobs Fantastic bronzer. So I truly do love this one. I don't know if I could ever make it through this whole huge pan, but if I did, I absolutely would repurchase this. All right, I feel like many of you already knew what my number 1 was gonna be. It's actually a bronzing duo. It's my Cover FX bronzing duo, and I actually have a story about this as well, go figure, that I've told many times on my story, or on my YouTube channel. So I'm sure many of you are tired of hearing about it, but never in my life have I ever gone out on the same day I ruined a makeup item to purchase it. But I came home from work one day and my daughter had destroyed my Cover FX bronzing duo in Sunswept Bronze, Sun-Kissed Bronze, and I turned to my husband and I was like, well, I'm gonna go buy that again. This is so beautiful. You have your matte side, you have your glowy side. So if you want like a super intense glow, you could use just this side. I don't love just this. However, in the summertime, I will mix the two to give me a sheen and a glow to the face that I absolutely love. But even in the wintertime when I'm looking for just a matte bronzer, this shade is just like my perfect bronzer shade. It does give some warmth without being orange, and I just feel like, oh, it's such a good bronzer. I love this. Anytime I've gone traveling, which unfortunately probably won't be doing for a while now, but anytime I've gone traveling since owning this, this is the bronzer that I grab. It's just such an amazing product. I love the duos from Cover FX, both the bronzing duos as well as the blush duos. I think that both are just really fantastic products. I appreciate that. I feel like Cover FX put a lot of thought into these, and definitely my number 1 had to go to this. I remember the first time I used this. I remember the first time I actually used this, it was in a trying new makeup video, and I didn't realize until after I was like, and I didn't realize until I went to edit that video how much I loved the way that this bronzer looked on my skin. So good, you guys, so good. Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for today's ranking my entire bronzer collection. Leave me a comment down below, as always, and let me know your favorite bronzer, maybe your least favorite bronzer you've ever tried. I would love to hear from you guys. Other than that, thank you so much for sticking around to watch today's video and for supporting my channel as always, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye!